don't know if you guys heard the story. Demi Lovato last week was doing an interview, right? Demi Lovato, the artist, and said that we need to stop using the word aliens when talking about aliens, but like not immigrants, like actual aliens from outer space, because Demi said that it's derogatory, so we should just call them ETs, extraterrestrials. And it was interesting because a lot of people agreed. A lot of people were like, yeah, no, that's a good point. We don't want to offend the people. And here's, I don't know. Here's the thing. First of all, I love Demi. Like, I've always thought that Demi is one of easily, the best artists you'll ever see perform, and just a great talent, and But I understand what they're trying to do, but I almost feel like, I don't know, people want to be sensitive, but then some of the things they want to be sensitive about, like aliens. Look, I understand you want to be respectful to aliens. Don't get me wrong. We've all seen Independence Day. When aliens cancel you, they really cancel you. But sometimes I feel like as people, we're just changing words for the sake of changing words. Like how the acceptable term. Thank you, John. Like how the acceptable term for homeless has now become unhoused, and I don't know, am I crazy? I feel like it's the same thing. It seems like it means the same thing. It's almost like people think if they make the term clunky enough, then people will stop saying it, and then homelessness will be solved. I mean, or unhousedlessness will be solved. And like, here's the thing. I know it comes from a good place, and maybe we have to try, but I also think we have to acknowledge that new words by themselves, they aren't going to solve the problems. Do you know what I mean? Like way back in the day, right? People with developmental disabilities used to be called feeble-minded. That's what they were called. And then doctors said, no, that's offensive, right? They need a new word. And so then they came up with, thanks, Enid. So then they came up with moron, right? And they said moron, and then they said, no, that's offensive, and said, no, they're not morons. They just develop more slowly. They're retarded, as in to hold back. I mean, I can't even, like, even saying that word now, I'm like, you're not supposed to say that. And the same thing happened with special. Like when I was a kid, special became the new word, but then that became offensive. And like now, I just learned this the other day. School kids today, when they're trying to insult each other, they say DD, look at this DD kid, as in developmentally disabled. I feel like at some point we have to admit the problem isn't the words, it's how we treat the people who the words refer to. Like that's the actual thing. And I'm not saying we shouldn't try, but it's you get on, like the people, if people want to be assholes to certain groups, they're going to keep finding the new word for the thing. And it's like, yeah, you want to change it, but I also, I don't know, with aliens, I don't know, I think sometimes people feel powerless to make actual changes, so then they invest all their energy in making the small changes that they actually can see. Americans see homeless people and they think, well, the government is too broken to give these people houses, but the least I can do is give them a different name. You're unhoused. Actually, my name is Peter. Well, I'm not trying to get to know you. I'm just trying to make myself feel better about your situation. And no, I don't have any money. This is like, I don't know. Like, would aliens, would they even speak the language? Like even, because you go like, we're going to offend aliens. This is assuming that aliens speak the language. So if the aliens are smart enough to get here, either they know all our language and then they would understand it, or like, how did they get here? Like, this is like random aliens, just, and then you'd be like, you are extraterrestrial. And they'd be like, we're actually globs glob. You're like, I'm sorry, what? We're globs glob. And then you're like, oh. They're like, what's an ET? Then you're like, oh, you guys never seen the movie? Then we're going to play the movie ET for them. And boy, you want to talk about being canceled. They're going to be like, I'm sorry, that's what you thought we all look like? Why do we talk like that? Aliens are going to be like, yo. Yeah, we were just going to like talk to you guys, but now we might just burn you all down. You're like, well, why did you put us in the front of, why didn't we have our own bicycles? Yeah, we thought it was cuter like this. We just thought it was cute. But I don't know, I get it. I understand it. But okay, here's the thing for me. Here's the thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't try as people, but I do think we've got to be careful of being instantly prescriptive for other people to take on an idea that we've just like sort of made for ourselves now. Did you get what I'm saying? Like, you can't just say something is offensive out of nowhere and then like say people are being offended, because people have to catch, like language has to change, people have to catch up. So it's weird for me. And please don't get me wrong, again, I have nothing against Demi. I think Demi knows this, but I just think when we have these conversations in public, because it's not just this. So many stories where people are like, oh, you're a bad person, because it's like, no, you just told me a new rule. Give me a moment to like catch up to it. That's all I think.